In this Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance review, we'll be covering our Dark Alliance impressions and taking an in-depth look at the new action RPG game developed by Tuque Games and published by Wizards of the Coast. Dark Alliance is based on the novel series The Legend of Drizzt, written by R.A. Salvatore, and is set in the Forgotten Realms. Dark Alliance is set in the tundra region of Icewind Dale, where 4 heroes fight to protect the 10 towns from the forces of evil who have teamed up to secure the Crystal Shard, a powerful artifact that can shift the tides of war. Having played the original Icewind Dale games, I was very excited to be able to revisit the icy region again. I was therefore a bit disappointed that the game does not give more of an emphasis to the scenery, even if it does deliver an appropriate ambiance. The game focuses on your travels as you explore different dungeons and search for the Crystal Shard. The main story unravels at a steady pace as you progress, but each dungeon also features a shorter narrative than one would expect from a D&D game. Players looking to fully immerse into the story can also find and read a massive amount of additional lore by finding tables, tomes, and paintings scattered throughout the dungeons. If you're a fan of the series, or if you just want to have a better perspective of the world, these are a must-read, and I thoroughly enjoyed discovering them. Enemies are very true to their nature, and you'll often overhear their discussions as you approach them. Goblins usually chit-chat about their body part collections, ogres are always thinking about food, and cultists only care about their cult and rituals. All this said, the game is more focused around gameplay than story, and if you're playing with friends getting caught up in combat, you probably wonder where the story is. For this reason, if you want to have a deeper understanding of the game's narrative, I strongly suggest that you play in single-player mode and take your time while exploring each dungeon to hear all conversations and find all tables and tomes. For a Dungeons & Dragons game, Dark Alliance takes quite a different approach, delivering fast-paced combat from a third-person perspective that is somewhat similar to Godfall. Unfortunately, while there are a lot of interesting mechanics in place, I feel that they were not well integrated with each other, making the game feel more generic than it actually is. There is no character creation in Dark Alliance, where you instead pick one of the pre-made characters when you begin the game. I was initially disappointed by this, as I really enjoy making my own D&D heroes, but the realization of the characters is quite successful with distinctive personas, looks, and abilities. Characters will also comment on the story and dungeons based on their own personalities, which adds further flair to progression. It is because of their uniqueness that, having played with all the characters, I would definitely suggest that you do not stick to a single character, and instead try all of them as you make your way through the missions. All of the missions can be completed with starter gear on the beginning difficulty of the game, so this is not an issue. The gameplay style of each character is varied, as each has its own set of moves, abilities, features, and equipment. One of the things that I most liked about Dark Alliance is how it separates adventure and progression. You can only upgrade your character or change your equipment while you're in the main hub. This means that you'll earn experience by completing missions and defeating enemies, but you won't be granted experience points until you finish said mission. Same thing goes for equipment, as you'll be able to find loot during your missions, but you won't be able to see their properties or equip them until you return to the main hub, similar to Destiny's ciphers. These mechanics make for much more fluid gameplay, as other people won't stop in the middle of the dungeon to level up their characters or check what loot they got. It also encourages you to finish the dungeon to check all the loot and rewards you have unlocked. Because all co-op games make you argue with your friends about who carried who through the dungeon, an overview screen appears afterwards where you can compare your performance against theirs. Then everyone is back to the main hub where you can check your stats, equip your new items, and relax a little bit. Character progression is an integral part of D&D, and Dark Alliance does not do a very good job in this regard. Each time you level up, you'll obtain attribute and feature points that can be used to enhance your character. Moves and consumables are unlocked with gold that you earn by completing missions, and equipment can only be acquired as loot. Beyond your initial playthrough, most of these choices end up being irrelevant, as you will eventually unlock everything at max level anyway. All 6 classic attributes, strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma, are present in the game. Each of them has a different impact on your character, increasing either attack or defense. Attribute points cannot be redistributed and are the only meaningful choice that you'll make, as you won't be able to max all of them out. Equipment is a key aspect of the game, and your performance will heavily depend on your equipped items. All characters share the same amount and type of slots, but most sets, with the exception of resistance sets, are exclusive for each class. The developers revealed that each class has 12 sets, with 2 more free DLCs coming this summer, and fall slated to add more. Sets add incremental benefits to your character per piece equipped, so you'll want to pick the best bonuses and match them around, which is fun. Equipment pieces have 4 main stats: set, rarity, rank, and level. All equipment drops at level 1 and can be upgraded to level 3, but you can't change an equipment's rarity or rank, meaning that you'll have to find new gear as you advance through the different difficulty levels. One very cool aspect of equipment is that each piece has its own appearance, modifying how your character looks. In addition, they also feature many different skins, providing plenty of customization and fashion opportunities, and all of this is done with gold, the in-game currency. There aren't any type of microtransactions in the game, so being able to fully customize my character without having to spend any additional money is a good feeling after so many games gate cosmetics behind a paywall. Combat in Dark Alliance is fast and engaging. Each enemy pack is composed of different creatures, and knowing which of them you need to take out first is important. The environment also plays a role, as you'll often need to deal with hazards or explosive barrels that can be used to deal damage to both enemies and your party. At first, I really enjoyed fighting against packs of enemies while I charged my ultimate bar to then unleash a glorious finisher. I really felt that I was getting better at the game and ready for the next difficulty, but unfortunately I seemed to hit a bit of a wall when upping it. Generally, higher difficulty levels means more enemies, better AI, and more challenge, but in Dark Alliance it means being nearly one-shotted by almost any enemy, because the difficulty is structured around your equipment rather than your skill. While in the first difficulty mode, an enemy hit would take around 10% of my HP, the same attack from the same enemy on difficulty 2 would take 40% of my HP, and a boss would one-shot me, meaning that my skill was not that important, my gear was. This made me realize how the flow of this single-player game really is. You are supposed to grind level 1 difficulty to get better gear, and then use gold to upgrade your gear to level 3. Once your equipment is capped at level 3, you'll be able to efficiently farm the second difficulty. You then need to farm for rank 2 armor and upgrade it to level 3 to face the next difficulty, and so on. While this is a popular difficulty layout in some isometric action RPGs, there are many major flaws with this progression mechanic in Dark Alliance. First, all sets can drop on all ranks, meaning that you won't be getting new or better sets as you progress through the ranks, but rather better stats on the same sets. Second, you'll be forced to replace your equipment because it becomes obsolete very quickly, making you ultimately not care about your equipment at all. But the worst part is that I was left wondering why try a higher difficulty at all if I was not going to get any new sets or get better, but rather just get better stats for the same gear I already have by playing the same missions I've already played. I found this demotivating, but it will probably not feel as grindy for those playing multiplayer since they'll have friends to hang out with. Fortunately, difficulty scaling is one of those things that can be balanced from player feedback, so it's possible that this will be addressed in a future patch. Dark Alliance features good but not great graphics that work well for the game's setting and artistic vision. Environments are well constructed, and you can get the overall impression of Icewind Dale as you delve into the dungeons. Enemy designs and character models are very good, and armor feels and looks great, matching the style of each character. In terms of performance, the game runs smoothly and I did not face any major issues, so players should not expect to see game-breaking bugs or significant glitches, which is always a plus in modern gaming. I love the soundtrack for the game, which feels very appropriate and sets the right atmosphere for such an epic adventure. The audio quality is also very good, and you will likely notice it during both combat and exploration, as it adds an intangible something to the game. Voiceovers are an above-average experience, so you can expect to be entertained by character and enemy conversations without any cringe. Dark Alliance features a campaign that will likely take you about 15 hours to complete without rushing. This is not a lot of gameplay, but the game is focused on repeated plays to get more loot or experience with other characters, as well as dabbling in multiplayer. Unlike Godfall, Dark Alliance is launching with dedicated matchmaking, and playing this game with others is certainly the way to enjoy it most. If you have friends or loved ones and are looking for a good co-op RPG experience, Dark Alliance will probably deliver just that. This could extend those 15 hours well into 20, 40, or more, depending on how much you enjoy the dungeon delving. Dark Alliance is launching for $39.99 USD, which is $20 USD less than an average PS4 game and almost half what other PlayStation 5 titles are charging. The reason behind this price point is likely the short campaign and limited content, although the developers have already promised 2 free DLCs that will add new levels and difficulties, and presumably new loot. Given that the game has no microtransactions, you could really confirm that what you see is what you get and dive in based on your own appraisal of whether what you see is worth it to you. This will likely depend on whether you're looking for a fun experience with friends or are expecting a serious RPG. And of course, the game is included day one as part of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, so it is likely a no-brainer for D&D, action, and RPG fans looking to check it out on that platform. Final thoughts. Dark Alliance takes a different approach to the Dungeons & Dragons franchise by delivering a third-person action RPG that is more focused on fast-paced multiplayer than exploring a D&D world on your own. If you're looking for something fun to play with your friends while you accumulate loot and unlock fancy moves, I would highly recommend that you try it out, but if you're interested in complex RPG mechanics or looking to play solo, I would suggest you wait for a sale, as your experience likely will not match the price. We had fun with our time with the game despite some of its flaws, so you can look forward to a build guide for each character as well as a wealth of information that we have recorded on the Dark Alliance wiki.